Hello, and good day to you all. If you woke up this morning, checked your portfolio, screamed into a pillow, and then reassured yourself it's just healthy consolidation, buddy, you are very much not alone. Today, the markets are performing about as well as a government shutdown during tax season. I'm Sen B'Hiro, and this is the SENB Daily Brief for November 19th, 2025. Let's get into it.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
Bitcoin slipped under 90 grand for the first time since April, tapping a 7-month low at 95.8K before staggering back into the high 90s. That's a 20% drawdown from October's peak. At this point, Bitcoin has lost so much value, it's considering a name change and a fake mustache. Whales dumped nearly $45 billion in leveraged bets. Japan's 10-year yield broke 1.7%. Liquidity tightened globally. And suddenly, investors remembered, yes, gravity. But hey, Ethereum is flat today, which in this market basically counts as a national holiday. Across the board, $1.6 billion in liquidations hit in the last 24 hours. The Nasdaq is down 4.5% this month. Bitcoin ETFs saw $578 million in outflows earlier this month. But Solana ETFs, 6 straight days of inflows. Investors basically said, everything is collapsing. But yes, I'd like seconds. Top gainers, privacy coins are ripping. Zcash up 23%, cracking $10 billion as regulatory heat rises. Near plus 8%, ICP plus 6%, Mantle plus 5%, Polkadot plus 4%, RWAs, DeFi, and interoperability leading the bounce. Top losers, Leo minus 7%, because exchange tokens never miss a chance to remind you they exist. Tau minus 6%, the AI bubble deflating just a little. XRP minus 5% as ETF delays continue. Solana minus 4%, despite all those inflows. And Ethereum minus 3%, still holding better than most majors. Total crypto market cap now sits at $3.38 trillion, down 5% on the week. And in the last 6 weeks, $1.2 trillion has evaporated. So if you feel poorer today, you're right, you are. All right, that wraps your market recap. Up next, regulation ETFs and why everyone suddenly wants to tokenize everything, including your grandmother's house. All of that after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, let's jump into the regulatory and institutional landscape because while prices have been sliding, the rest of the industry has been moving at full speed. The U.S. Senate finally passed a bill ending the 40-day government shutdown. The House vote is still pending, but at least markets aren't staring down the barrel of another accidental fiscal cliff dive. And in case you missed it, the new crypto czar says the U.S. is getting closer to becoming the world's crypto capital. We'll believe it when the IRS stops treating every on-chain movement like a hostile act. The Genius Act continues moving forward, and we now have 11 XRP ETFs listed on the DTCC website. Solana and XRP ETFs are being eyed for mid-November approval. Meanwhile, Brazil is tightening its crypto rules, the SEC is hinting at clearer guidance, and new U.S. tax reporting guidance for crypto just dropped. But the biggest macro story just hit, and it's coming straight from Polymarket. As of this morning, traders are pricing in a 67% chance that the Federal Reserve does nothing with rates at the December meeting. No cut, no hike, just vibes. That's up from earlier expectations and matches the broader sentiment after Powell said a December cut is far from guaranteed. The market basically believes the Fed is on a freeze, and that lack of movement is part of why Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the broader market have been struggling. You can thank sticky inflation, rising global yields, and the liquidity crunch for that one. But despite the macro chop, the institutions are still building. SoFi became the first nationally chartered U.S. bank to offer direct Bitcoin and crypto trading. Huge milestone. Michael Saylor, now with Strategy Inc. after spinning out of MicroStrategy, just bought 8,178 Bitcoin, dropping $836 million at an average of $102,000 per coin. Saylor bought the dip at prices we would now call the peak. Classic. Ripple partnered with Mastercard on credit card testing and raised $500 million at a massive $40 billion valuation. Franklin Templeton launched a tokenized USD money market fund in Hong Kong. Citi teamed up with Coinbase for on-chain payments. Western Union is building a Solana-powered settlement layer. and Chainlink partnered with Balcony to tokenize $240 billion worth of real estate. And that wraps your regulatory and institutional roundup, the part of the show where the adults in the room pretend everything is under control. When we come back, the big crypto predictions flying around this week. Saylor, Tom Lee, and yes, the guy the internet keeps calling the smartest man alive. We'll get into it after the break.
What? I mispronounced SoFi?
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, time for everyone's favorite part of the show, the bold predictions, the confident forecasts, the totally not financial advice that somehow moves billions of dollars anyway. First up, Michael Saylor. Yes, again, because when you buy 8,000 Bitcoin in a single swipe, you get to be first up. Saylor said this latest pullback is a gift from the market and predicted Bitcoin will recover faster than people expect. And to be fair, Saylor has been right often enough that even his bad calls end up sounding motivational. Guy buys the dip at 102,000 and then says 95,000 is a blessing. Absolute king behavior. Next, Tom Lee, because it wouldn't be a market downturn without Tom Lee showing up like a motivational speaker at a liquidation event. Lee reiterated his outlook that Bitcoin could hit 150,000 if macro conditions stabilize, and maybe even make a run toward 200,000 with ETF inflows returning. So basically, if everything goes perfectly, flawlessly, and without any further disasters whatsoever, Bitcoin could go up. Thank you, Tom. Now, let's talk about that viral prediction. You know the one. The internet-appointed smartest man alive, a guy with allegedly unbeatable IQ credentials, claims Bitcoin is set for a major upside reversal within the next 45 days. Why 45 days? Nobody knows. Maybe it's math. Maybe it's astrology. Maybe he rolled a D20. Either way, crypto influencers ate it up like it was the Arkham Asylum Riddler posting hints on Twitter. His reasoning? Liquidity rotation, RWA flows, and what he calls an asymmetric compression window, where Bitcoin historically slingshots upward after multi-week drawdowns. Is he right? Possibly. The timing is oddly consistent with pre-Santa rally cycles. Or maybe he just needed a number and 45 sounded cool. Look, predictions are great. They're fun. They're entertaining. They're like horoscopes, but with slightly more math. But here's what we actually know. Bitcoin tends to rebound violently when liquidity bottoms and ETF inflows return. We're not there yet, but the groundwork is forming. So if you've been doom scrolling, relax. Downturns don't erase fundamentals, they compress them. All right, that closes out the prediction roundup. Up next, your viewer question of the day. And trust me, today's question is very on brand for this market. We'll read them all after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
Welcome back. It's time for the mailbag. Your proof-of-thought submissions, your comments, your takes, your unfiltered brainwaves. And remember, if you want to be featured, you can always scan the QR code, send in your message, and instantly prove that, yes, you are indeed thinking. First message is from Trevor in Wisconsin. Sen, my entire portfolio is down 28% this month. Should I panic now or wait until next week? Trevor, if you're asking when to panic, then the answer is not yet. True panic is instinctive. You don't schedule it like a dentist appointment. But seriously, zoom out. If nothing in your thesis changed, neither should your blood pressure. Next, we have it Chain Dad on X. Is this alt season or is this just alt teasing? That's adorable. This is alt teasing. Alt season requires liquidity, optimism, and the psychological stability of the average crypto investor. So, no, we're not there. But when RWAs, privacy coins, and AI chains keep outperforming during a downturn, you're seeing the opening credits. Next one comes from Julie in Miami. Sen, what do you think about these prediction markets? Are Polymarket odds reliable? Prediction markets aren't crystal balls. They're thermometers. They don't tell the future. They tell you where the collective mind is right now. And right now, that collective mind says the Fed isn't cutting in December. So, yes, Polymarket is useful. Most people are betting on election polls. Then it becomes a comedy show. Martin submitted his message via the QR code and says, why is Solana down even though the ETFs are seeing inflows? Martin, if crypto made sense, it wouldn't be crypto. Solana is down because everything is down. Inflows can't fight macro gravity by themselves. But the fact that ETFs are still seeing inflows, that's your signal that institutional interest isn't going anywhere. Next message is from an anonymous proof-of-thought submission. If Ripple is worth $40 billion now, does that mean XRP is finally going to move? Oh, wow. you sweet summer child. No, XRP moves on its own geological timeline. Ripple's valuation and XRP's price are like two people in a long-distance relationship. Related, but barely interacting. And finally, our question of the day from Alex in Phoenix. Sen, how do you emotionally survive these kinds of market dips? Aha, the soul crusher, the one we were all waiting for. The truth? You don't survive dips emotionally, you survive them structurally, with allocation, time horizons, systems, and the bravery to close the app occasionally. And carbs. Never underestimate carbs. And that wraps today's mailbag and proof of thought submissions. Up next, what keeps this hot mess rolling? The token plug, community update, and what's coming next for the SENB ecosystem. We'll talk about it after the break.
You're listening to the SENB Daily Brief, powered by Whole Shot Coffee.
All right, welcome back. Time for the SENB token and community update and a little preview of what's coming next. So, quick update on the SENB ecosystem because y'all keep asking, and honestly, the growth of the last 2 weeks has been insane. The proof of thought system is now fully live. You scan the QR code, you submit your idea, theory, chart, joke, existential meltdown, and boom, you're on the show. You earn social presence, you earn reputation, and eventually, yes, you'll earn SENB utility inside the ecosystem. Imagine getting rewarded for having a thought, a revolutionary concept in 2025. SENB is continuing phase 1, the rollout of the media network, the show formats, the characters, the QR system, and the foundation. We've checked every box for phase 1 except fully rolling out the remaining characters. But we've still got weeks left in the quarter, and we're already ahead of schedule. Phase 2 wasn't supposed to start until January, but since Proof of Thought went live early, we're bridging the gap right now. Next step, more integrations, creator submissions, community involvement, and expanding the ecosystem so holders have actual utility in a real functioning media network. The days of tokens with no product are over. We're building the opposite, a product that graduates into a token economy. And yes, we're doing it without promising anyone a yacht. Look, the market's ugly right now. This whole month has felt like trying to assemble IKEA furniture during an earthquake. But downturns are when real builders build. It's when strong communities cement themselves, and it's when the loudest people go quiet while the future winners quietly stack, build, and prepare. So whether you're here for the commentary, the comedy, the chaos, or the crypto, you're early, and you're part of something that's actually growing in a time when most things are shrinking. And genuinely, thanks for being here. All right, that's going to wrap today's Daily Brief. Don't forget to scan the QR code to submit your proof of thought for tomorrow's show. And if you missed any episodes, everything's archived on the website and available on our YouTube channel at Sen B'Hiro Media. I'm Sen B'Hiro, and I'll see you tomorrow. The SENB Daily Brief is a production of Sen B'Hiro Media in collaboration with Whole Shot Coffee, coffee that fuels champions. Written and hosted by yours truly, Sen B'Hiro. Production, editing, and scheduling handled by Maya Valencia, who somehow keeps me on time, caffeinated, and occasionally polite. Original theme music composed and produced by Paul Hahn, the community legend whose beats hit harder than a Fed rate hike. Research support provided by the SENB community. Proof that sarcasm and spreadsheets can coexist. For more shows, merch, and on-chain chaos, visit senbhiromedia.com. Thanks for tuning in. Stay caffeinated. And remember, if it's not in the brief, it probably wasn't bullish anyway.
Set my wallet free.